Well, this is what happens when you outsource your emissions reductions to China. You buy electric cars and electronic devices from a geopolitical rival with inevitable consequences. Not only are they manufacturing all these things with fossil-fueled electricity, they also have the chance to embed all sorts of cybersecurity threats, like backdoors which allow them to be remotely controlled by a foreign power. We already knew about how Chinese electric cars are like mobile spying devices, which have been banned in the UK from parking closer than 2 miles from any sensitive government sites for fear of them relaying intelligence back to Beijing. But now it appears that Chinese solar panels used in the UK have secret kill switches built into the electronics. So not only are emissions savings trumpeted by the government not really savings at all, they've just been offshored to China, but now they've given up control of acres of solar panels to the Chinese Communist Party, potentially allowing them to be switched off at will. Gee, gotta love net zero. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer, now Sydney-based YouTuber. Please make sure you've clicked that subscribe button down below and enabled all notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you'd like to support this channel, why not buy me a coffee? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Stay tuned to the end of this video for another hilarious bonus story here in Australia, linked to wind farms this time. But first, The Telegraph has the story. Chinese kill switches found in US solar farms. Ed Miliband under pressure to pause green energy blitz after hidden components discovered. Chinese kill switches have been found hidden in American solar farms, prompting calls for Ed Miliband to halt the rollout of renewables. On Thursday, the Energy Secretary was urged to impose an immediate pause on his green energy blitz to review whether UK solar plants are also at risk. The components found in the US included cellular radios capable of switching off the equipment remotely, raising serious concerns about grid security, according to Reuters. They were found inside power inverters manufactured by unnamed Chinese companies. Power inverters are the key links between solar or wind farms and the rest of the power system, converting their electricity so the wider grid can use it. One source told Reuters that compromising such equipment would give Beijing the ability to inflict blackouts on the West, claiming it would create a built-in way to physically destroy the grid. China has dismissed the claims as a smear. Well, they would, wouldn't they? But the discovery has sounded alarm bells within the US government and is likely to prompt a similar scramble in Britain. Andrew Bowie, the Shadow Energy Minister, on Thursday said the worrying revelations should spark serious concern for Mr. Miliband and called for an urgent investigation. He said, "We were already aware of concerns being raised by the Ministry of Defence and the security and intelligence services surrounding possible monitoring technology on Chinese-built wind turbines. But given the dominance of China in solar, these developments are equally, if not more, worrying." Ed Miliband's made-in-China transition, clean power at the expense of everything else, is a threat to our national security and makes a mockery of his claims on energy security. It is essential that an immediate pause and review is carried out to ensure the safety and security of our energy system. As with all these ridiculous net zero stories, it would be hilarious if it wasn't so serious. Because the net zero ideology is immune to reason, all it cares about is reducing emissions no matter what the cost, financial or otherwise. They don't care if China is burning millions of tons of coal to make EVs or solar panels, just as long as we reduce our emissions. They don't care that desecrating hundreds of acres of pristine countryside to build acres of solar panels and wind turbines is far worse for the environment than a single nuclear power station on a single well-contained and secure site. Net zero or bust. Chinese companies dominate the market for power inverters as well as batteries and solar panels, with their equipment widely used around the world. That had prompted concerns in some quarters, with China's involvement in UK energy infrastructure already under scrutiny. According to research by Wood Mackenzie, Chinese firms account for half of all solar power inverters in the world. Two companies, Huawei and Sungrow, together controlled more than half of the market in 2023. The European Solar Manufacturing Council estimates that more than 200 gigawatts of European solar power capacity relies on inverters made in China, the equivalent of 200 nuclear power plants. This means Europe has effectively surrendered remote control of a vast portion of its electricity infrastructure, said Christophe Podevils, the industry group's Secretary General. Being able to control just 3 to 4 gigawatts of capacity has the potential to wreak havoc across the continent. The recent blackouts in Spain and Portugal are thought to have begun following the loss of just 2 gigawatts of generation capacity. And here in Australia, we're seeing the result of mad wind farm plans. Because the turbines have to be constructed in some of the most remote areas of the country, not only do the turbines themselves have to be built there, but they also have to bulldoze miles and miles of roads, carving through some of the most beautiful and untouched areas of Australian landscape. None of that matters to the environmentalists, who are strangely silent on the desecration caused by wind farms and solar panels. And then they have to transport the huge components of these monuments to stupidity via public roads which were not designed for such monstrosities. And this is what you get. Warrego Highway closed at North Tivoli after truck slams into bridge. A permit for transport of a wind turbine still stuck under a bridge on the Warrego Highway south of Brisbane is being investigated amid fears road closures will continue into the Friday afternoon traffic peak. A major highway and vital bridge connection southwest of Brisbane remain closed almost 12 hours after a section of a wind turbine became wedged under an overpass. All westbound lanes of the Warrego Highway remain closed near Ipswich after the turbine, which was being carried west on the back of a truck, slammed into the Mount Crosby Bridge. The huge structure remains under the bridge, and motorists are warned that the area will remain closed for some time. There appears to be significant damage to the road surface. I mean, this is absolute nonsense. A single site containing a nuclear power station has a vastly smaller footprint than acres and acres of wind and solar, and it's far easier to connect to the grid. And of course, it provides synchronous baseload power that gives the grid the stability and inertia that it needs to cope with varying demands, unlike the renewable alternatives. It's simply better for the environment than wind and solar, and will last 3 times as long, if not more. But all of that is lost on the net zero zealots. Just like believing that buying Chinese solar panels built on coal-fired energy and which are hacked to allow remote control is somehow reducing emissions, likewise believing that wind and solar are a genuinely preferable alternative to a few well-placed nuclear power stations is willful blindness to reality, which eventually we're all going to pay for.